Okay, thank you very much. It's a great honor to be with you at 40 Wall Street. And we appreciate you have a lot of press outside, and I think we're going to start before a lot of them come in, which frankly always makes me happy. So, a lot of things happened today. This is all about election interference. This is all Biden-run things, meaning Biden and his thugs, because I don't know if he knows he's alive. And it's a shame. It's a shame what's happening to our country. This is election interference. They are doing things that have never been done in this country before. We've never had anything like it, certainly not at this level, but we've really had nothing like it that I've been able to find. It does happen a lot in third world countries, banana republics. If you look at what we just left, you have a case which they're dying to get this thing started. The judge cannot go faster. He wants to get it started so badly. And there's tremendous corruption. You have Pomerantz, Mark Pomerantz. He was Hillary Clinton's lawyer, or Democrat National Committee's lawyer. He worked in Paul Weiss. He walked in and he took over the district attorney's office. Nobody's ever seen anything like that, to prosecute Trump. And then they wouldn't do what he wanted to do, and he goes out and he writes a book. Long before any decisions were made, he writes a book about it. And the book gets published, and everybody's reading his book. And the judge said there's nothing wrong with that. And if you look at Bragg had a fit over that. Bragg said this trial is now dead. We can't do the trial. Well, that was one of the problems, and the judge should have allowed that to happen. And you had other instances like Colangelo. Colangelo is a radical left from the DOJ who was put into the state working with Letitia James, and then was put into the district attorney's office to run the trial against Trump. And that was done by Biden and his thugs also, because they can't win an election because of the borders, because of energy prices, because of inflation, because of Afghanistan, the worst and most embarrassing day in the history of our country. He can't win because of Russia, because of all the problems, because of Ukraine being attacked by Russia. And he can't win because of the October 7th attack of Israel, which he should have never allowed to happen, would have never happened if I were president. Ukraine would have never been attacked if I was president. And you wouldn't have inflation if I was president. We didn't have inflation. So all of these things, so what they do is they do election interference, which is court cases, and let's try and tie him up, and let's take as much of his money as possible. I respect the appellate division for substantially reducing that ridiculous amount of money that was put on by a corrupt judge named Engoron. He ought to be looked at, seriously looked at, especially what he did with valuations. He's the one, he's a fraudulent valuator, where he values Mar-a-Lago at $18 million, and people say it's worth 50 to 100 times that much, the biggest experts in the business. So he ought to be looked at, and James ought to be looked at, because she tried to get him. She's like the puppet master of the judge. And, you know, our state, this state, is losing tremendous prestige. It's losing its companies. It's losing its people. They're fleeing, and violent crime is flourishing. And we can't have that. We can't have that. No city should have that. And it's happening in other cities, but not with the lawfare. The lawfare that they're doing is incredible. So they could have done this in the case of the trial that we just left, one of the many that are going. Every single one of them is run by Biden and his thugs. It's the only way they think they can get elected. And I think so far it's backfiring, because the people of this country understand it. It's backfiring. But they're being run, and they're running all of these different cases. So ridiculous, the cases. Every one of them is ridiculous. You take a look at any one of them, and you say any one of them, it wouldn't make any difference. This is all weaponization of DOJ and FBI. They raided my house in violation of a thing called the Fourth Amendment. Not allowed to do that. They raided my house in Florida, Mar-a-Lago. No notice, no nothing. They raided it. I can't believe it. Nobody can believe it. And we'll see how that all works out in the end. But it's illegal what they're doing. It's criminal what they're doing. And it's never been done before in this country. You can't have an election in the middle of a political season. We just had Super Tuesday, and we had a Tuesday after a Tuesday already, and we had Louisiana the other day, a couple of days ago, and we won in a record number, the highest number ever recorded. But we're in the middle of an election right now, and we're fighting crooked Joe Biden, who's the worst president in the history of our country, by far, who's let this country go to hell. The borders, millions and millions of people coming in from prisons, from mental institutions. They're terrorists. Many people coming in from prisons and mental institutions. Think of it. And terrorists are coming into our country. And this guy's just letting them come in by the millions. I think we have 15 million people already. People don't say that. I say it. And I'll bet I'm right, too. So we're going through this weaponization of our government to try and knock out somebody's political opponent. And so far, based on the polls, it's not working at all. The people understand it. We have a man who just ruled he'd like the trial to start in 21 days or something. And I don't know how you can have a trial that's going on right in the middle of an election. Not fair. Not fair. It's not fair at all. He knows that, too. He's a Democrat judge. He wants to do that because they're all trying to damage Trump as much as possible. It's having the reverse effect, but maybe someday it won't. I don't know. But it's having the reverse effect. It's a terrible, terrible precedent, a terrible thing to do. They could have started this when I left office. You could have gone back 3 years, more than that. When I left office, all of these things could have been started so we wouldn't be quibbling over starting this week or that week or 2 days or 3 days. It wouldn't have mattered. This thing would have been over 2 years ago. They could have started. They should have never started because there's no case. If you read Andy McCarthy's piece, if you read Jonathan Turley's piece, if you read legal scholars all over the world, they say this DA case is a hoax and it's something that shouldn't have. It's not even a crime. They say there's no crime, and there is no crime. So I just say it's a sad day for this country when you have something like this. And remember the words, should have been started 3 years ago if they were going to start it at all. And then you wouldn't be quibbling over what week it's going to, days. They're quibbling over days and hours. They wouldn't be quibbling at all. They never started it. And you know why they didn't start it? Because they didn't know I'd be running. And they didn't know how well I'd do. And if I were not running, or if I were doing poorly like everyone else has done, because they're all gone, they're all knocked out except for crooked Joe Biden, if I were doing poorly, this wouldn't be happening. None of these trials would have been happening. If I wasn't running, they wouldn't be happening. So it's a sad day in our country in many respects. But the good day is that the appellate division was fair. It's a lot of money still, but the judge is corrupt, in my opinion. He's the most overturned judge. He's been overturned 5 times in this case alone. He ruled against me before he even knew anything about the case. He ruled against me. The whole case was all about damages, and there were no damages. And perhaps you'll get him to tell you about what took place in terms of a settlement negotiation, because those weren't the numbers he was discussing. Those weren't the numbers. It's a disgrace what's happening in our country. And we have to get our country back, and we're going to get our country back. That's what's going to happen. November 5th, I believe, will be the most important day in the history of our country. We'll get these people out of there, and we'll seal up the borders, and we'll, as I say, drill, baby, drill. We'll be drilling. We'll get energy costs down. We'll get rid of the ridiculous electric car mandate, so nobody's ever heard of anything so foolish and so stupid. And we'll bring crime back to law and order. We're going to get those words law and order back because our cities are a disaster. Greatly respect the decision of the appellate division, and we will abide by that. We'll put up cash or bond very quickly, securities, cash or bond, whatever it is. We'll put it up very quickly, and we'll win the case. Todd, maybe I'll have Todd say a couple of words, and then I'll have any questions or anything you want to ask. Okay, Todd, wherever you may be, please.
Thank you, President Trump. So, as we said in court today, we very much believe that starting this trial in April, or even starting this trial at any point before the election, is completely unfair to President Trump. It's completely unfair to the American people who are evaluating who they want to be the next president. And we are going to continue to fight. We're going to continue to do everything that we can to defend President Trump in that courtroom. And like we said today, we believe that we have a tremendous amount of information now in our hands to help us do that. And in any event, we certainly feel as if the date that Judge Merchan held today, April 15th, is not a date we should go to trial, and we're going to continue to fight.
And if you read the Andy McCarthy article, or Jonathan Turley, or many of the legals, I think almost every single one of them, that's not even a crime. We're being tried for something that's not even a crime. They say at most it's a misdemeanor, but there's no misdemeanor either. So we have violent criminals that are murdering people, killing people. We have drug dealers all over the place, and they go free and they can do whatever they want. But they go after Trump when there's not even a crime. And did you see the number of people were there? You had Colangelo, and behind him, and remember this, Colangelo was a DOJ guy. He's a Biden DOJ guy. Why is he in the Manhattan DA's office trying the case? That in itself is a conflict. He's in the Manhattan DA's office trying the case. I mean, that's called a conflict. And then remember what I told you also, Mark Pomerantz, when Bragg heard about it, he went openly hostile. He said, that's one of the worst things I've heard, and you all covered that. Then all of a sudden, time goes by. You know, the great healer is time. Time goes by, and all of a sudden they forget that. But that's a terrible thing. Colangelo and Pomerantz, terrible thing. And the judge didn't want to rule on that. He said everything was fine, that what they did was fine. I don't think it's fine when they take a Hillary Clinton lawyer and put him in to prosecute me. I don't think that's fine. I think it's very bad. And he does it on the House. He does it without fee. I don't want any fee. I don't want any fee. Our country has gone down a long way. Cliff, would you like to say something?
Just simply, we're gratified by the Appellate Division's decision today, which shows that there still is a rule of law in New York and that the Appellate Division is following it. Thank you, sir.
So do you think can you get an acquittal in this trial, in the Merchan trial?
Oh, I shouldn't have a trial. This is not a trial. This is not an act of criminality.
But you are having one, so do you
I don't know if we're having one. We're going to be appealing right now, I can tell you that. We did nothing wrong, just like I did nothing wrong in the other case. My statements, my financial statements, were conservative. They were low, not high. I mean, he valued Mar-a-Lago at a tiny fraction of what it is. He's the fraud. He created a fraud in order to help his narrative and her narrative, because he does whatever she wants. And the judge is really, what he's done is fraudulent. He made Mar-a-Lago, you know it very well, Maggie. He made Mar-a-Lago into $18 million. I had many offers. They said, I'll give you 19. Okay? You could take half of the living room is worth more than that. So it's worth anywhere from 50 to 100 times that amount. And he stays with it. So he's either whacked out or dishonest, one or the other, or both, probably both. But he's a disgrace to the system. And I think that New York State was helped a lot today by the decision. I'll give you an example. Truth Social is doing very well. It's hot as a pistol and doing great. And it's going public. And the New York Stock Exchange wants to have us badly. And I told them, we can't do the New York Stock Exchange. You treat it too badly in New York. We don't want to do the New York Stock Exchange. And the people at the Stock Exchange are very, very upset about it. The top person is mortified, can't believe it. He said, I'm losing business because of New York, because people don't want to be in New York and they don't want to go into the New York Stock Exchange. So you can ask them about it. But, you know, how can you do that? I'd love to go in the New York Stock Exchange. It was always, you know, it would be a big thing to go in the New York Stock Exchange. That would be nice. But people aren't going in the New York Stock Exchange now because of what's happening in New York, because they don't want to be attacked by a thug like this horrible Attorney General that we have in New York, the worst in the whole country. So we'll decide about Truth Social and what we do with it. But there's just an example of how this is hurting New York and New York State. Yeah.
Mr. President, can you give us a little bit more detail about the timing of when you plan to secure the bond and how exactly you're planning to pay the bond?
Well, as I say, I have a lot of cash. You know I do because you looked at my statements. I mean, you've been examining my statements for a long time, and I have much more than that in cash. But I would also like to be able to use some of my cash to get elected. They don't want me to use my cash to get elected. They don't want that. They don't want me taking cash out to use it for the campaign. And they looked at it, and this judge looked at it, and he's part of the whole deal. And, well, he's such a disgrace for this city. Again, the most overturned judge. There's never been, that we can find, a case where a judge has been overturned now 5 times. It was 4 times, now it's 5 times. Been overturned. But I have a lot of cash and a great company. I mean, to think they want to go after a company. This is a great company, a company that's doing very well. I've got very low debt on buildings, like this building. I have very low debt on this building. Most buildings I have no debt. Most clubs I have no debt. Look at my greatest assets. I have no debt. I didn't even include like brand value. And the brand value is, I became president because of the brand, let's say. But the brand value is, it's one of the most valuable brand values. So I wouldn't swap it for any other brand in the world. Trump. I don't even put anything down for it. I had very conservative statements. And the way they made him look bad is by valuing Mar-a-Lago at $18 million instead of what the real value is, which was at least 50 to maybe 100 times more. Think of that. This is the fraud. They're creating a fraud, and they're hurting the state so badly. And then I can't go into the New York Stock Exchange because I can't do business, because I don't want to do, not because I can't, because I don't want to do business in New York. And the people at the New York Stock Exchange, I can tell you right now, and they're very fine people, they're not happy. Yeah, you were going to say something?
Mr. President, you mentioned the cash you had. You said on Friday it was something like $500 million. You intended to put some of that into the campaign. Now that the bond's been reduced, are you going to start putting money into your campaign? You haven't done that since 2016.
Well, first of all, it's none of your business, I mean, frankly. But I might do that. I have the option. But if I have to spend $500 million on a bond, I wouldn't have that option. I'd have to start selling things. I don't have to sell anything because it's a phenomenal company. Look, I built a phenomenal company. Someday they'll actually report that. I built a phenomenal company that's very low leverage, unbelievably low leverage, with a lot of cash, a lot of everything else. Why should I let a crooked judge make a decision to give $450 million that allows me to spend very little money on my campaign if I so choose? I'll be spending money on my campaign. I might spend a lot of money on my campaign, but I should have that option. A crooked judge shouldn't say, we're going to have you post a bond and take all of that money that I could be spending on a campaign or other things if I want to do other things. So we were gratified by the professionalism of the opinion today. I thought it was I think it's a very important opinion for New York, but the only thing that's going to really solve that problem is when I win, because you're going to have to win. Because no company is going to be coming to New York if I don't win that case. That case is a scam, it's a sham, and it's a hoax.
How does this solve the problem?
Would you ever accept money from a foreign government to pay the bond or their fines or
No, I don't do that. I think you'd be allowed to, possibly. I don't know. I mean, if you go borrow from a big bank, many of the banks are outside of this. As you know, the biggest banks, frankly, are outside of our country. So you could do that, but I don't need to borrow money. I have a lot of money. I built a great company, but I don't want to have a crooked judge named Engoron and a crooked, horrible, the worst, I would say without question, Attorney General in the country, the most obnoxious and the worst Attorney General in the whole country. And she did it for political reasons. Go back and take a look at her ads. We will stop Trump. Well, she knows nothing about me. I never heard of her. She was advertising, and she took ads in saying, we will stop Trump. We will stop him, stop him. Vicious. I said, boy, that's a bad one. Then I looked, she got elected. But then she tried to do it with the governor, and it didn't work. She went after the current governor, who's much more talented than she is. She went after the current governor. She was very nasty. And she polled at about 3%. She polled at nothing, and after 6 weeks or 7 weeks, she pulled out of the race. She ran for governor, on what she was doing to me. She thought that would work. It didn't work. I just think that it's very important that, this is a time when businesses have a choice to go to a lot of places, including other countries. They don't have to stay in our country, but they can certainly go also to a lot of other states. A lot of people going to Texas, Florida, Tennessee, North Carolina, a lot of South Carolina, and you have a lot of competition. You shouldn't be persecuting people that have done a great job. I paid $300 million approximately over the years in taxes here. $300 million. That's a lot of money. And you're going to lose those people that pay all that money, and you're not even going to have a state anymore. They just won't be able to do it. Yeah.
Sir, but back to the trial here in 3 weeks. Do you plan to testify, and are you
The which hearing?
The trial here.
I don't know that you're going to have the trial. I don't know how you can have a trial like this in the middle of an election, a presidential election. And this is a Biden trial. These are all Biden trials because Colangelo worked for Biden. Can you imagine they take a guy out of DOJ and they put him into the Attorney General's office and then into the Manhattan DA's office to go after Trump? These are all Biden trials. So I don't know that you're going to have it. I think we're going to get some court rulings. Yeah, please.
But will you testify if that trial goes forward in 3
I would have no problem testifying. I didn't do anything wrong.
And would you be concerned that a conviction, if you are convicted in that trial, could cost you the election, given what Todd said voters are...
Well, it could also make me more popular because the people know it's a scam. It's a Biden trial. This is a Biden. There is no trial. There's a Biden trial. Colangelo, the man who stood up, had the nerve to actually stand up and take over. You know, he's been sitting in the background for the last year. Today, he went right up front because they figure he buffaloed the whole public and the writers, including you people. He got them buffaloed. They forgot. They didn't, you know, a little while ago. Time sort of people forget with time. They don't have good memories. I do. They don't have good memories. But Colangelo from the DOJ was put there to go after Trump. And today he stood up and he took over the whole office. He's been running the whole thing. He's been signing the letters. He's been doing things for a long time. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. This is all done by the Democrat Party, and it's all done by Biden and his group. I don't know if it's Biden because I don't know if Biden is even sharp enough. I don't know if Biden knows what's happening. You want to know the truth. Maybe he does. He probably does. But this is all done by Biden and the thugs that work for Biden. And it's a very bad thing. It's a very dangerous thing for our country. Thank you all very much. Thank you.
Update. All the editorial thoughts are my own. Now, here's a couple of issues. So Donald Trump is so far unable to obtain a bond to guarantee payment of the insane $464 million civil fraud judgment against him. And of course, the insane trial judge, Arthur Engoron, has stipulated that without putting up the requisite cash, Mr. Trump has denied the ability to appeal the grossly disgraceful civil fraud against him. This is all part of Joe Biden's weaponized lawfare attack against Mr. Trump in order to stop the former president from becoming president again. The Biden White House has orchestrated a massive lawfare campaign that aims to put Trump in jail for over 700 years and take away all his cash and his businesses. Or let me say his iconic businesses in New York, Florida, Scotland, and elsewhere. Trump remade the skyline of New York City. He rebuilt the Woolman skating rink to help thousands of families, and on and on. And now here comes this crazy New York State Attorney General, Letitia James, running a scam that respected constitutional law professor Jonathan Turley calls, quote, selective prosecution and, quote, mob justice. Take a listen to this James woman running against Trump in her 2018 election.
No one is above the law, including this illegitimate president. And so, I look forward to going into the office of Attorney General every day, suing him, defending your rights, and then going home.
That is selective judgment. That is mob justice, if ever was. However, Fox News legal expert Greg Jarrett can be here in a minute. He says Mr. Trump could file a petition in federal court regarding the Eighth Amendment. The federal court would have to act quickly to issue a stay, but it may be Mr. Trump's best strategy. The Eighth Amendment says, and I'll quote, excessive bail shall not be required, nor excessive fines imposed, nor cruel and unusual punishments inflicted, end quote. That's the Eighth Amendment. And of course, the $464 million penalty is supposed to bear some relation to harm done. But there was never any harm done because there were no victims. And all the lenders to the Trump business empire made tons of profits. So I believe, as a non-lawyer, that Alan Dershowitz and Greg Jarrett are both correct in advising Mr. Trump to go for an Eighth Amendment constitutional appeal. That would be a fitting end to this Soviet-style New York sham lawfare battle against Mr. Trump, who, by the way, is leading in all the swing state polls on the way to a potential victory in November, despite what the Democratic crazies are trying to do to him. All right, that is my riff, my opinions, my editorial comment.
Yeah, let Stephen get up there. My emails are sending now.
One of them was Commissioner Ryder, the Nassau County Police Commissioner. I don't know who the inside guy is. I think actually that's one of the police chiefs. The one on the inside, the Spanish guy, that's a police chief. I think it's the chief of police. Huh? The second guy, the bald head guy with the red tie, that's Commissioner Ryder, Nassau County.
Check, 1, 2, check, check, check.
Right here.
Yeah, here.
Would it be right to put the mic over here? Yeah, thanks for being here. I need to be able to get in and out here.
See ya.
Yeah, obviously they're the county executive, and Commissioner Ryder, Police Commissioner Patrick Ryder, and New York City Police Commissioner Edward.
Where is it?
Yeah, so wait, and then come on, and then run. Patrick Ryder.
Yeah, let's yeah. Everyone was here. We were all playing nice until you came. She was here a very long time. Angela, come right here.
It's only for when he comes out for the first time.
I like that. Yeah, bro, you're all playing. Don't be bad.
Totally. It just
Right, like, you know what I mean? Like, that's what I'm saying, like, you know?
But I think we should, some of our guys.
I got you, I need my guy here. I'm gonna stay with you. Should I stay with you?
Alphonse. Not the Alphonse.
One of my weaknesses.
So you're not going to move the mic, keep it behind the barrier, yeah.
Copy that. Yeah, yeah.
Thank you, Craig.
No.
George? He's coming right up here. Okay. Yeah, I just need to be able to walk in and out. So I gotta post the mic, yeah. Right in front of the camera.
Thank you. Appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Good.
I actually was watching you in real time. But I know that you didn't No, if you're going to do a repeat, it makes me probably...
You don't need to record this? I was recording, but I don't know if you can record it now. I'll break that. She's still trying to go. No pressure.
No pressure? What are you talking about? What are you talking about? Can you be able to put it and then like stand it out? I just don't want to fight up on it. You know what I mean? Yeah. Kind of stage it.
Here? Yeah, then like are you able to lower it? Like lower it and get it, boom it out? Yeah. And then lower it again and boom it out. The more you can boom it out, the better. He doesn't, everyone get a shot, you know what I mean?
That and then took that up. Even as much as you got, I think the higher you got, the more you got. Yeah, thank you. And then make sure my I would leave the stand there and then just pull back the mic. You know what I'm saying? That's just me. Yeah.
You want to pull back the mic for safety, or like, no, have it already out. Yeah. Yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah, put the mic back on. Thank you, bro.
Ready to go?
They mark them over there. Be ready to boom it. I don't know if it's gonna happen enough. Yes. Oh, it's all the way out there.
Looks like the ball.
Yeah. No, I mean, I have it in my hand.
Like 10, 15, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But let's get out of the way because they want to see him come down, so just stay close.
Michael, I will come down.
Yeah, I've been in
And you still have that accent?
Oh, yeah.
Well, I'm also like, I'm the East Coast, like I am the East. Saving everybody.
Is it
Listen up. If you are on an elevated ladder or platform, bring it down. Okay? Gotta get off the ladder. Security concern. Everybody gonna come off the ladders? I'm coming.
Dave. Dave.
If you have a ladder, I need it broken down and tucked away. They can't be up. They can't be up. Everybody who has a ladder.
Dave, you want the mic over here? Don't worry about it. We'll use you for cutaway shots and we'll get the feed.
Thank you guys very much for your cooperation.
Thank you. Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, yeah.
It was so funny at first, like, yeah, who was here. She was like walking out of this whole puddle. Like,
Did they try it?
Brian. Are you guys gonna show? Okay, I guess
Check, check, check. 1 2 1 2 1 2. Check, check, check. 1 2 1 2.
You're golden.
Should I do my speech? I have a speech.
Look at this guy. What's up? This guy behind me.
The way that's gonna work is they're gonna come around, they're gonna stop, then I'm gonna move the police behind them, and then they're gonna go.
What's up?
Hey, can we put this microphone out yet?
Yeah.
This is right here.
Like, can you let us put it on the other side to get it closer to him?
Yeah, can I put? Yeah,
please.
Can I put it on the other
Yeah,
side?
1 sec. Let me. You got a little slack on it? A little bit, not a ton. Not a ton?
Right behind the president? Good. So they want, agreed, they want walking down, and then the police are coming. They're gonna come, they're not really. Okay, okay. Okay, so with that spot in the middle, then they'll walk through. No, he's walking this way, he's walking right. But if they go straight here, they're still gonna have to.
Hold this for a second. Sir, you mind bringing that? We just want to lower it a little bit to get it out of his. You want to just lower it just a tad? Yeah, just so it's not just totally in his face. Give me a second. Yeah, I don't want to break it. How's that? Yeah, just so it's not like right in his face. Yeah, appreciate that. Someone will be able to remove it when we get closer. Keep going. He had it up further out. There's good. Right there. Good.
Yep,
Good.
that's good.
Thank you, officer.
Excuse me, sir. You can take the bag off. Perfect. Yep.
They in it? Good?
I'll take. Thank you.
They in it? Are they in it? A little closer?
Is that about his height?
Good. He's a little tall. He's taller than me. Way taller than me.
How do you raise?
Unscrew.
Unscrew it. Yep. Lift.
Now it's the car.
I got it.
Okay, a foot closer, 2 feet closer. You guys can step up a little bit more. A little bit. Good.
Just like that yellow line, like the
On the yellow line.
tell me good right
How's
there.
this?
Yeah?
Higher?
He's not that tall.
Too tall.
No.
Still too tall?
Too tall.
He wants
Too tall. It's gonna be right in his face, blocking his face. No, just ride it a little lower, and then we're able to boost it here. As long as it's in that proximity, we got control over here. So
Good.
Can you get all the? Can you double stack the cops behind them, or can you get everybody in one shot?
yeah, that gives us a second to look better. I see.
You tell me.
I see the second to last guy, and I see.
Okay.
The one next to the guy with the helmet, I see.
Just make sure you cover down the.
Hey, you guys step behind so we can get you in the camera shot, and then you two step behind, get you in the camera shot, just like that. Here? Yep. So 1, 2, and then one more. Right there. Better? And then the police commissioner will be here, and the county exec will be there. All right, we'll be ready for you guys. All right, you oversee this.
What's that? Can we get the outside guy in the middle over there in the back? Okay, so
That guy?
in the middle in the back.
Okay, can you go in the middle?
Right there, yep. Perfect.
I'm probably hungry right here. From this way, not right now. I could. It's always my side.
Again, when he comes out, hands at your side, remember? Comes in. Yeah. Where is Artie?
Is there a Deidre here or Deandra? Hi. So you're all there? I'll try my best.
Well, thank you very much, everybody. I want to thank Bruce and all of the people that have worked so hard to make this area beautiful and safe. And this is what happened. Is such a sad event, such a horrible thing, and it's happening all too often. And we're just not going to let it happen. We just can't. 21 times arrested, this thug, and the person in the car with him was arrested many times, and they don't learn because they don't respect. They're not given the respect. The police are the greatest people we have. There's nothing and there's nobody like them, and this should never happen. I just visited with a very beautiful wife that now doesn't have her husband. Stephanie was just incredible. Their child, brand new, beautiful baby, sitting there innocent as can be, and doesn't know how his life has been changed. But the Diller family you'll never be the same. You can never be the same. And we have to stop it. We have to stop it. We have to get back to law and order. We have to do a lot of things differently because this is not working. This is happening too often. It's an honor to be here. And again, I want to just thank all of you folks for allowing this. And Bruce, thank you. Bruce has been a friend of mine for a long time. He's done an incredible job out here. But this is such a sad occasion. The only thing we can say is maybe something is going to be learned. We've got to toughen it up. We've got to strengthen it up. This should never be allowed. Things like this shouldn't take place, and to take place so often. So thank you all for being here. It's an honor, and it's an honor for me to be here. This is a great family, the Diller family. I met the friends, and I met every one of them inside, and these are just incredible people that are just devastated. They're devastated. They've got a tough road. It's going to be a very tough road. So thank you very much, everybody. Appreciate it. Thank you, Bruce. Thank you very much.
I just want to say thank you to President Trump for coming here to be with the Diller family. It was very comforting for them. It was very warm inside, and people were very, very, they were very blessed to have someone like President Trump who cared so much, spent a lot of time with the family, and was, again, a tremendous comfort to the family and probably the most difficult time this family's ever had. May God bless Stephanie. Ryan, we are going to help raise because he's only 1 year old and he's going to grow up without a dad, but he's going to have thousands of dads that are going to look after him, and to Fran, his mother, and to Jennifer, and Jason, his brother and sister, and the whole family, Aunt Carol, Uncle Jimmy. Our hearts go out to them, and may God bless them, and may God bless America. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
What message did you convey to the family?
We've got to toughen it up. We've got to have law and order. These things can't happen. We need law and order. It just can't happen. Thank you very much.
What changes would you make to prevent something like this?
Thanks,